Hello friends, welcome to my channel, YiaYia's Heart Tarot. Today I'm bringing weekly messages from the departed. I do want to preface today's reading and let you know that I do have a cold today. It is, as near as I can tell, just a cold. I have taken 3 COVID tests and they've all been negative, so I don't believe it's COVID. I tell you this because whenever I hear of someone getting sick in these times, especially with cold symptoms, I always worry that it might be COVID. I worry for them, I worry for all of us. And so, and I'm also generally curious. I worked a lot of years in a doctor's office, so I'm always curious. So I'd like to know, so I'm going to let you know. I've taken the tests and they've all been negative. So it's just a little summer cold that I picked up from most likely my granddaughter or perhaps my daughter. They both had it. So I apologize if there is some throat clearing, and of course you can hear it in my voice. There may be some sneezing, I'll let you know. And I've got a little boot off action going on here, so hopefully it won't be too distracting. That's what's going on in the physical realm of my situation. But I also want to let you know what's going on in the energetic realm, since tarot is an energetic mode, and I know there are some of you out there who are very sensitive to energies, and so I don't want to give you any concern with regard to picking up any negative energies through this reading, because I have this cold. This cold, again, is a physical manifestation that I'm dealing with. I suspect it's a physical manifestation of some energy that is my personal energy that I've been working on. But that's another matter. But what I do want to let you know is that I am an ICRT certified Usui Holy Fire 3 World Peace Reiki Master, as well as an ICRT Animal Reiki 1 and 2 practitioner. And I always infuse all of my readings with Reiki energy. So if you are one who receives energy, and I also want to assure you that we don't have to receive energy. If our aura is not receptive, then there is no way for energy to affect you. But if your aura is open and receptive to energy, I want to make sure that you know that through my readings, there will never be any negative energy. All of the energy that will come through from any of my readings, if your aura is open to receiving energy, is healing energy that is sent out for the highest good of all. So even though I am dealing with some heavy 3D real world stuff with regard to this cold, and it's not a terrible cold, I've had worse colds, but it is a cold, it is a sickness, and so I just wanted to let you know that I've infused this reading and all of my readings with Reiki energy. So anything that comes through them will be transmuted, if needed, to healing energy. So I just wanted to reassure you, if you have concerns about receiving any energy from this reading, it will be healing energy. So let's move on to the reading. Today I'm only going to do one reading, largely because of this cold. And also, today I'm going to go back to a different spread than I have been using. I've been using my own spread, which I like the spread that I've been using, and it's been working well. But I just feel like mixing things up a little bit. So I'm actually going to go back to the original spread that I first did that led me into doing mediumship readings. It's called Hello from Heaven Tarot Spread. And I'm going to be using that spread today to do this reading. Before we get to the reading, I wanted to bring in a few visions that I had during my meditation in preparation for this reading today, as I often do. And these visions, I believe, are clues for some of you as to who might be coming through for you on this reading. So without further ado, the visions that I saw, the first thing that I saw in my meditation was a parrot. It might have been a macaw, but I think it was a parrot, and it was predominantly red and blue. Whether that matters or not, may have been some yellow on there. And I believe it said, "So fancy." So if anybody had a departed loved one who had a parrot that said something like that, or just was a lover of birds or had birds, or if there was some significance surrounding a parrot, a colorful bird, anything like that with a departed loved one, then that may be who's going to be coming through for you today. The second thing that I saw in my meditation was a lion. And it was a very traditional looking lion, as you would see in paintings back in the Renaissance, perhaps. It had a very strong Leo energy. So if any of you have a departed loved one who was in any of their signs a Leo, that may be who's coming through for you today. Of course, it could be someone who was a lover of lions, or perhaps someone who had a spirit animal that was a lion. Some connection to a lion, although I did get a very strong Leo energy with this particular vision. The next thing that I saw was a mountain range. And on one of the mountains, way, way up high on the mountain, was a tiny sort of ornate building. I had the impression that it was perhaps a Tibetan monastery or perhaps a Swiss chalet. It was just a very, very welcoming, very comforting, homey sort of solitude place. Just very inviting, but very remote. So if that rings any bells for you, that could be an indication of who might be coming through. Perhaps you had a loved one who was a Buddhist. Perhaps you had a loved one who was from a mountainous area. Perhaps you had a loved one who was Swiss or from that area of the world. I did also pick up an image of Swiss chocolate. Very, very just decadent milk chocolate. So that might be a clue for some of you, excuse me, as to who could be coming through for you as well. If there was a chocolate connoisseur in your family or in your departed loved ones, that could be who's going to come through today. Or if you had a special connection that involved chocolates with a departed loved one. Then I saw a fairly specific image. It was a man, not particularly tall or short, just sort of an average-sized man, average build. He had very dark hair. It was not black, but it was very dark brown, and it was thick. It was very thick hair, but it was also cut short, so it was kind of thick in the front and on the top. But it was a fairly short haircut. He also had, I believe, blue eyes and fairly light skin, fair-skinned individual. He may have had brown eyes, but I got the impression that they were blue, although I can't say for sure that I saw that. And I got the impression that this individual died in some sort of an accident, but it wasn't typical, like a motor vehicle accident or something like that. It was more like it was a death that was involved with performing a heroic act that was most likely somehow connected to their occupation or their job. I got an impression that this may have been some sort of a first responder. The first impression that I got was a firefighter. And then there was also a thought that there was possibly some sort of a hospital worker. But they had some sort of a uniform for their work. It wasn't a uniform necessarily in a military sense of a uniform, but a uniform in that it was the preferred or usual dress for their occupation. So, if it was a firefighter, obviously they have their protective equipment that they wear. I got an image of someone wearing scrubs, the green scrubs that they wear at the hospital, possibly. So anyway, this individual appeared to be in some sort of occupation that kind of put him on the front lines, more in a civilian capacity, I believe, than a military capacity, and that within that occupation, they were killed in an accident of some sort. They died in an accident. So those were the visions that I saw that may give some of you some indication of who might be coming through in the reading today for you. So let's go ahead and get started on the reading here today. I think we'll start with this deck. Excuse me. So the first card that we want to get, or the first cards that we want to get, is for a main theme of our reading today. So Spirit, what is the main theme for our reading today? Okay, so this is interesting. We're starting off with the Hierophant and the Devil. Kind of an interesting opposition here of energies. So I am feeling as though the individual that might be coming through, at least for some of you, was an individual who struggled with their beliefs. They perhaps had some issues with maybe the church that they were brought up in, their family's belief system. I'm just getting a very strong impression that they just really struggled with not fitting in. This may be the black sheep of the family, and that their family or their social structure somehow had a very strong, close-knit group that all relied on kind of the same understanding of what everyone was to know and was to believe in and was to obey. And this individual just couldn't go along with that. In fact, I'm getting a strong impression that they railed against it. I'm getting this very conflicting energy. They loved their tribe or their family or their society or their community, but they were always kind of trying to make others see that perhaps they saw some hypocrisy in the way things were handled or the belief system that the group had, and they were always a little bit frustrated, and they were always kind of trying to argue their point without really ruffling feathers as best they could. So I feel like that's the main energy of the main theme of our reading today. Kind of a black sheep energy, not believing in what the rest believed in, and not really feeling like they belonged. So the next message that we need to get, please Spirit, is what was the challenge? And this challenge could be what was their challenge. The challenge could be what is your challenge now that they're gone. The challenge could be what was the challenge between you. So what was the challenge for this reading? Okay. So we got the Nine of Wands, the Six of Wands, and the Queen of Swords. So I feel like this challenge, at least for some of you, was a challenge between the two of you. A challenge that you felt like their interpretation of things was too narrow. And you were always trying to get them to kind of expand their view of things, trying to point out sort of a broader picture to them. And I feel like in part you did this not only because you believed in the ideals of the group, but because you really wanted to help this individual to make peace, basically. You wanted to help them fit in, but you wanted to help them fit in not because you wanted them necessarily to change their beliefs, but you wanted them to fit in because you loved them and you wanted them to be around. You didn't want them to be ostracized or pushed out, because then you would really miss them. So the challenge that you had was that you were always trying to get them to open up at least their tolerance, if not their vision of what the group believed. You were always kind of trying to help them see the other side a little bit. Or at least you were trying to help them see what others felt so strongly about, even if you knew that they would never agree with it. You were always trying to at least help them see why it was important to the others, why it was important to each one of the others, that they could have this belief system, that they could trust this belief system. And so your challenge was that you were always trying to get this individual to understand that. But I feel like they kind of felt like you were trying to railroad them into believing what everyone else believed, which wasn't necessarily the case. You just wanted them to see why the others believed what they believed, so that they could maybe have a little bit more tolerance and fit in a little bit better. But I feel like the individual that's coming through was probably a little too strong-willed to ever really give in to anybody else's belief system that they didn't believe in. So the next message that we need to get is, how did the two of you connect? How did you connect with this departed? How did you connect with them? Okay, well, we're getting more cards than I think we need. How did you connect with this loved one? Okay. Interesting. Okay, we got the Moon, the Ace of Cups, the Emperor, and the Five of Pentacles. I believe that you had sort of I feel like this was almost a forbidden connection. You loved this individual dearly, but you had to kind of keep it under wraps, because there was someone in the picture that did not approve of you and this individual being friends or being together. So you felt like the two of you were kind of alone, and that you were isolated, not because you were necessarily physically isolated, but because you had to keep this kind of secret, that the two of you were more together than people believed you were. So I feel like that was your connection with this individual. You loved them absolutely dearly, but you couldn't let anyone know that. because there was somebody who was very powerful in your community or in your family who did not approve of this connection. So the two of you were just sort of left out in the cold, and not necessarily each one of you, but if you wanted to get together, it had to be secretly, or if you spent time together, it was not something that it wasn't something that you could share with the group. So when the two of you were together, when you spent time together, whatever that meant, it was just the two of you, and you felt kind of alone together. You felt kind of alone because you both had a certain draw, and you in particular had a certain need and wish to be part of the group, to do things with this group. But you wanted to do things together with this departed individual. You wanted to be able to come to the group as a couple or as friends, whatever your relationship was. You wanted to bring that to the group. If the group had a gathering or a party or some sort of get together, you wanted to be able to come to that gathering together and be accepted, but you never felt like you could. You could both go to the same gathering, but you couldn't do it as a couple or as a date or as friends. You couldn't really be out in the open about the relationship that you had with this individual. So, what was the karma that you collected? What was the karma that you collected from this relationship? Or from this departed? Well, we got the Queen of Cups, we got the Judgment card, and we got the Knight of Wands. So, you really felt the love of this individual, and because this individual did not follow the path that everyone else set out, that love was much, I'm not going to say it was more genuine than love you might have felt from the others, but it was unbridled. It wasn't restricted by the norms of the group. The others in the group may have felt like they could only show certain things, or they could only say certain things, or they could only do certain things because that's what was expected of them from the group, and that's what was accepted. This relationship, since they didn't really follow what the group dictated, you felt as though the love that you got from this individual was perhaps more pure. It was more exciting. It was more authentic than what you might have gotten from anyone else in this group. So you generated this karma of opening yourself up to you generated the karma of not opening yourself up to this. You wanted to, but you were afraid. And so you went along with the group. You were pressured by the group. And so you went along with the group, and you didn't come out in the open about this love that you received from this individual. And so the karma that you may be taking away from this is the guilt of not allowing yourself to show how much you love this individual, and to share that love in a way that was open and full. You sort of suppressed this love for this individual. They may have known that you loved them, but you were afraid to express it publicly, like we just talked about. And so that even though your departed loved one understood why you did that, it still hurt them that the two of you couldn't be out in the open. It wasn't that you hurt them. It was just the fact that the two of you couldn't together live a fulfilled love hurt them. And so the karma that you may have collected from this relationship is that you suppressed this love and at the fear of being judged. And so now, in order to balance that karma, you may need to take initiative to move forward and and be inventive and creative and step out of your comfort zone. That's what this is. You may need to step out of your comfort zone now to replenish the love that should have been given that wasn't. So that's the karma that you collected. So the next message that we need is how you did. How did you do with regard to this relationship? How it ended up? How it was? A lot of cards here. We got the Seven of Pentacles, we got the Three of Wands, and the Magician, and the King of Pentacles, and the Knight of Swords, and the Tower. So the two of you put a lot of work into this relationship. Even though it may not have been out in the open, you still enjoyed a lot of time together. You worked hard on the relationship, and that's not the right way to say it. That's not it. You were together as much as you could have been. And when you were together, you saw that there was incredible potential for this relationship, and you lived a very, very happy existence with this individual. When you could be together, you went and explored, and you saw beautiful things, and you really, really genuinely enjoyed that. You genuinely enjoyed what you sowed with this individual. And when you were with them, you were incredibly happy. But there was always this judgment that was hanging over the two of you whenever you returned from your adventures. There was always this need to keep things secret. There was always this fear that if someone found out, things would come crumbling down. And, this sounds like an illicit love affair, but it's not necessarily. This could even be, just a friendship with someone. But if that someone was vocal enough in a society that was entrenched in their beliefs, that could have brought forward enough disapproval that even just being friends with them could be something that could get you ostracized from that community. That could get you in trouble. It could just be a matter of your parents saying, I don't want you hanging around with them. That sort of thing. But you genuinely enjoyed and were very fulfilled by this relationship. It was adventurous. It was authentic. It was open. It was real. But there was always just this sort of Damocles hanging over things, because you could never completely get away from the disapproval that there was from your family or community or society or church or whatever it was. Excuse me. So, how does the deceased see you now? Let's get messages for how the deceased sees you now. We got the Ace of Pentacles and the Knight of Cups. The deceased sees you as the most beautiful, solid, down-to-earth person, human that they have ever known. It's just absolutely unique and beautiful and wonderful and simple. They just see you just as this just amazingly just steady, solid, wholesome, wonderful individual. And they know that they want you to go forward and just love life. Just absolutely be in love with life. That's what they want for you. That's how they see you. They see you as being capable of that. And if you're not already doing that, they see that for you, and they want you to see it for yourself. So let's get some messages on how they did. How did the deceased do in their lifetime with you? How did they do? They're a little bit reluctant to talk about this. Okay. Okay. Oh my. We got the Three of Swords, the Ace of Swords, the Five of Wands, and the Death card. They feel like they screwed everything up, and they hurt you, and they were hurt themselves. They feel like they were too quick to judge. They were dealing with just a lot of confusion. They were always getting triggered in their life, and they think that because of that, they hurt you. That is perhaps one of their greatest regrets. Something that they wish that they could leave behind now. That they wish that they could have let go of this trigger, this being angered, this needing to be understood and needing to be right and needing to make everyone else see that they were wrong. That's their biggest regret now, is that they just were so wrapped up with the need to show everybody else that what they believed was right and what everybody else believed was wrong. And they now wish that they could have let that go when they were alive. But they didn't. And what is left to transform? What's left to transform about this relationship? Okay, so we got the Two of Wands and we got the Page of Swords. So what's left to transform about this relationship? They want you to move forward. They want you to move on. They want you to start anew. They want you to have clarity. They see your life now as sort of a wide open, just a plate of choices. They think that you have got just an amazing ability to see things clearly, to understand situations, to know the right steps to take, and to be able to bring two sides together. They see that in you. They see that they see now that that's what you were trying to do with them. You were trying to help them come together with the other side, and the other side come together with them. And they see that as a tremendous strength in you. And so what they want you to transform is they want you to not give up doing just that. They see you as some sort of an advocate or a mediator, or just someone who can bring different factions together. I mean, this could be something as simple as bringing a couple of family members who've been feuding for a long time back together, and helping them see why each side has a valid point and how much they love each other still, and how to let go of the differences. It might be something as huge as bringing two warring communities together to be able to understand each other better. This can scale up to an unbelievable, just an unbelievably huge benefit, task. Being someone who can bring warring factions together in a peaceful way is a tremendous, tremendous gift. So they want you to step into that gift. They want you to remember what you tried to do for them and not be discouraged because they didn't learn enough from it at the time. But they also want you to know that they did learn some. I feel like they were at a place where they were beginning to soften. It was important to them to be with you. And so they had started to listen and realize that you made sense, and that if they could just let go of some of their stubbornness, that they could begin to see what it was that you were showing them. And they know that you still have this tremendous ability to help people see, and help say things in a way that people can hear, even difficult things. So that what they want to transform is that you do that. Don't regret that you couldn't do that for them, and don't have self-doubt that you're not good at that, because you are. And that's what they want you to do. They want you to move forward with that. They want you to bring that forward and utilize that gift. So the final message is, what gift do you get to keep? What gift do you get to keep? We got the Seven of Swords and the Queen of Wands. So the gift that you get to keep from this is knowing what was true and what was not. And being able to act on that knowledge. The gift from this reading for you is that they want you to now understand and believe what was true about your relationship, and what is true about, like, this, your ability to be this mediator, to be this advocate. So what gift you get to take from this is they're giving you the clarity to know that some of what you see and what you've believed is true, and some of it is not. So they want to give you the gift to know what it is that's true, and that is that they loved you very much, and you were very important to them, and that they did believe that you have this gift to bring people together. So they want you to take that knowledge and move forward with that. They want you to leave behind their inability to listen to what you were trying to tell them, and your doubts that you weren't doing any good, or that they didn't really love you. So that's the gift that they want you to take from this reading, to know the truth of the matter and to act on that, to utilize it, to own it. Yeah, so that's what they want you to know from this reading. That's what they want you to take away from this reading. And so I pulled an oracle card ahead of time. And the card that we got for your reading is the Angel of Strength. The Angel of Strength. So let's take a look and see what the book has to say about that. Personal power and inner strength. This amazing angel brings news that this is a time of increasing power for you. It's not the time to be passive or submissive, but to speak your truth and take action on your own behalf. You're capable of taking greater control and directing your own destiny, for the power that comes from within reaches out to the universe and beyond. Inner strength and unlimited resourcefulness flow through you at this time, helping you to create real results. Call upon this wonderful angel and on your own inner resourcefulness to bring you the focus and resolve to do what's necessary in order to make your dreams a reality. And the affirmation is, deep within me is an abiding strength that knows no bounds. I have all the power I need to achieve all that I want. So I think this oracle card is going back to this message of, know what's true and believe it and own it and act upon it to make your dreams come true. Know that this person believed in you, they loved you, and they want you to continue to be the amazing person that they knew. This person who has a thirst for adventure and a passion for getting to know people and places and for welcoming everyone and everything. And in doing so, bringing together differing people and ideals, and helping them to work together and understand each other. So I think this was really a beautiful reading. I'm very sorry that this relationship didn't have an opportunity to blossom as much as it maybe could have when this individual was here, although I still feel like you did have some wonderful times together, and what you did share was very fulfilling and brought you a lot of happiness. So I'm glad for that. I hope that this reading has given you whatever you needed from it. If you needed some closure, I hope it's brought that. If you needed some encouragement, I hope it's brought that. If you needed some understanding, I hope it's brought that. Whatever you needed from this reading, I hope that you've gotten it. And I'm happy that I could share this time with you. Again, I apologize for my cold and my stuffy nose. Sending you all the Reiki love. And I am extremely grateful that you spent this time with me. And I welcome you back anytime you need any additional guidance. And be well. Bye.